What's good, people? Hope everybody's well. Welcome back to the Onyx Report, the Black Masculinist Newsfeed. And today, y'all know I like to do these. Not like as enjoy, but like as in tend to do often. And the reason I tend to do them often is because for the most part, they tend to be overlooked, right? So today on the Black Masculinist Newsfeed, we're going to see yet another situation where we find that another boy, all right, has been actually violated. And yet again, we can see the same tropes in the article as well as how people generally receive it, right? So you are looking here at a 23-year-old woman in Arkansas, right? This you can find on dailymail.co.uk. It's entitled Arkansas Woman, 23, who had a year-long sexual relationship with a 14-year-old boy and is now pregnant with his child. She's arrested for sexual assault. Now, this is interesting, right? Because I've yet to see rape actually used in the title. But they did use sexual assault, which is actually a little different from a lot of these articles, because usually they just say she has sex with, but they kind of did say that too, right? A year-long sexual relationship, right? What grown man has sex with a 13-year-old girl and they call it a year-long sexual relationship? No, they say, grown man rapes girl. That's the end of the story. That's the end of the title and the story. But anyway, they say in this one, it writes, an Arkansas woman who allegedly had a year-long sexual relationship with a 14-year-old boy and is now pregnant with his child has been arrested for sex abuse. Brittany Gray, 23, was arrested on March 1st in the city of Paragould after two witnesses reported that she had been in a sexual relationship with the boy going back at least as far as February last year, right, when he was age 13. And that's another thing about these articles, or I shouldn't say the articles, but are really about these incidents. They don't start when she got arrested. They often start much earlier, when the boys are easy to control, easy to manipulate, easy to violate, yet and still can provide the attention, not just the sex, but the attention she desires, right? Police said the first witness contacted them in February 2020 to say Gray and the boy were dating, and that they had been seen, or that they had seen her taking the boy home from her house. Okay. Second witness then contacted officers in September last year to say the boy had now moved into Gray's home and they had actually seen the pair having sex. In January, officers interviewed one of the witnesses who alleged that Gray and the victim had been sexually involved for about a year. They told investigators that Gray was pregnant with the boy's child and that the pair were thinking of leaving the state. Right? Police later tracked down CCTV from a local hospital, and they say they say shows Gray and the boy visiting for one of her checkups. She brought the boy to the checkup. Damn. I'm just wondering how they don't identify that right there in the checkup. But anyway, Gray has now been charged with one count of sexual assault in the 4th degree, a Class D felony, which carries a maximum penalty of 6 years in jail. She will not do 6 years in jail. I am more than sure that she won't. But my point in bringing this up is I need, especially fathers, to be very mindful about how our sons are viewed and treated, especially by teachers, especially any adult that's in contact with them. And I say that because as a father of a young teenager myself, one of the things I noticed is, I didn't get this until I became a father. You don't have to be, but I didn't get it until I became a father. And that had to do with how vulnerable our children are, how easily manipulated, particularly by a grown adult, they tend to be. And I'm not saying they should be any different. They're kids. They're supposed to be. They're introduced to the world, and it's our job to guide them through. But there are people that will take advantage of them. And much of the time, these kind of stories, again, get swept under the rug. That's why I do so many of them, because they happen all the time. And yet, when you ask most people, do women violate boys sexually? Do they rape them? You'll often find a glazed look that'll come over people's eyes, and then they'll have difficulty even recalling a case, because those cases don't generally get a whole lot of media attention. But the reality is, our children are vulnerable, and they're supposed to be, because they're children. They're also supposed to be protected. So especially to my fathers, my uncles, my surrogate fathers, my coaches, my brothers out there that are in contact with kids, please make sure you are protecting them. Please make sure you're looking for the signs of them having been manipulated or violated, especially if you get a story may be reported by a friend of theirs or anything like that, take it seriously, right? Look into this. I mean, luckily these people's parents or neighbors, I said this woman's neighbors, I should say, called her in, but these kind of things happen all the time, and yet we're oblivious to them. And in some circles it's celebrated. Like in the Black community, this is often viewed as a rite of passage. But the reality is, a boy is more often than not going to be psychologically and emotionally manipulated by a grown adult who is using him for her own purposes. And it needs to stop. Because in reality, when you look at the data, and again, y'all know I talk about this a lot. Go see Tommy Curry and Ebony Utley's paper, She Touched Me. What you find is that boys respond to sexual trauma no differently than girls. The only difference is we don't have a public acknowledgement that these things are traumatic, especially emotionally so, right? Because a lot of these boys are manipulated into something that they're really not mature enough to handle. So keep an eye out, make sure you look out to protect our babies, and do what you can to make sure that this kind of thing gets called out for what it is, even if that's only talking about it, to make sure it's in people's minds that we know this occurs and we have evidence of it week after week after week. All right, so y'all take it easy. See you later.